It's the first time I've reviewed a military aircraft. It's the Royal Australian Air Force's Boeing C17 Globemaster.
This could be us. So back to what I was saying. Could be us.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Review, where today we will be taking a closer look at the Herpa wings Royal Australian Air Force Boeing C-117 Globemaster in the 1 to 500 scale. On the front of the box we have the Herpa and Royal Australian Air Force branding, as well as the aircraft type specification and the 1 to 500 branding. On the back of the box we have some information about the aircraft, including the length of it, the height, and also the wingspan. And it also says that it is a limited edition. We also have a web link from Herpa for more information. Here she is, the Royal Australian Air Force Boeing C-117A Globemaster in the Royal Australian Air Force's livery. But before we take a closer look at this model, let's take a look at what this aircraft does for the Defence Force of Australia. This aircraft, with the registration code Alpha 41-206, was delivered to the Royal Australian Air Force in November 2006, making it 14 years old. The C-117 Globemaster is used by the Royal Australian Air Force to deploy troops, supplies, combat vehicles, heavy equipment and helicopters anywhere around the world rapidly. It is based at the RAAF base Amberley, where all 8 of the C-117s are operated. On the back of the plane, on the vertical stabiliser, we have an image of what I believe is a horse, as well as the full registration code of the aircraft. Moving up the plane, we have the Royal Australian Air Force's logo, which is a kangaroo surrounded by a black circle. And moving up the planes, we have the rear doors and the engines, wings, and the wheels, which all look very nicely indeed, but we'll look at them in a little bit more detail later on in the video. Then moving up to the front of the plane, we have the words Royal Australian Air Force printed on the side of the plane, the Australian logo, and the 3 last digits of the aircraft's registration code, which is 206. We also have the cockpit windows, which are printed on very nicely indeed. Moving on to the engines on top of the plane, you can again see the Royal Australian Air Force's logo, but as well as that you can also see all the flaps, slaps and spoilers carved out on the plane very nicely indeed. And moving on to the underside of the wings, there is again a very sufficient amount of detail, and again you have the Royal Australian Air Force's logo. Moving on to the engines, there is quite a lot of detail on the engines, and if you look closely inside you can see the engine fan blades carved out very nicely indeed. And moving on to the wheels look very good. Starting off with the back landing gears. The back landing gear has quite a bit of detail. And on the front landing gear, I would have liked if there was a little bit more detail, however this can be understood because the front landing gear is very small, because the Boeing C-117 Globemaster sits very closely to the ground. But without further ado, let's go to the summary. Like always, we are judging the model of 4 key elements that I believe make a good model, the first being the box. Starting off, I would have liked the box to have a little bit more colour on the front of the box because it just looks a little bit plain with just the black writing as well as the blue 1 to 500 scale as well as the Herpa branding. I would have liked if there was a little bit more colour, maybe like an image on the front of the box. But on the back of the box, it's a different story. There is a lot of information about the aircraft, and it is also very nicely formatted by Herpa. So overall, I give the box a 4 out of 5. Moving on to the mould of the plane, and I believe Herpa have done a very good job with the mould of the plane, nailing all the key features of the model. That's why I give the mould a 5 out of 5. Moving on to the realism of the plane, and this is where we compare the model to the real life version, and there are a couple little things that I believe could have been fixed. By looking at the image on the screen, you can see that on the engines there are some black detailing on the very front of the engines which aren't on the model itself. The other key bits that are missing is the fact that there isn't very much detail at the back of the plane as well as the front, which would have been nice as shown in the image. That's why I give both the realism and the detail a 3 out of 5. Which gives the total score for this Royal Australian Air Force Boeing C17 Globemaster a 15 out of 20. However, that is the end of this review. If you liked this video, make sure you hit the like button, and if you're new around here, why not you hit subscribe, it would be really appreciated. HB Aviation signing out.